Hola a todos. Welcome to Chapter 7, our companion chapter with Chapter 6, Salesperson Performance. This chapter, we're going to dive deeper into the motivation side. You being the sales manager, let's figure out ways to motivate the sales force. So, we only highlighted this a little bit in Chapter 6, but when we think about the psychology behind motivation, first thing we want to do is have this definition. Motivation is an individual's choice. An individual has to be motivated. When we think about motivation, we tend to think about the carrot or the stick. The stick is a threat, i.e., you will lose your job, or you'll have to do more, or your grade will suffer. A carrot is a reward, where if you do this, you will earn this. If you do this, you will get this bonus if you do this. So, so much of motivation, we talk about carrots and sticks. That's what they mean by that metaphor. But still, it's the individual who is motivated or not. So the individual decides to take action on a task or initiate action on a task, decide how much energy they will expend on a task. Now, depending on what you think a task is worth, you may not give it 100%. You may not drop certain things to get something done. You may get to it when you get to it. And also motivation is persisting in expending effort over time. And this is the construct grit that I'm really interested in. This all goes down to expectancy theory that was highlighted a little bit in Chapter 6. So here is the master diagram here. So we are starting at motivation. Okay? We have some valence for performance, right? And from how motivated are we? Some level of expended effort. We have job task, job performance, increased attainments of awards. We have intrinsic and extrinsic again. We also have another moderator here, another moderator here. These are expectancy, expectation, instrumentality, and finally valence, which is weight. These three elements here, which we're going to talk about in depth, are keys. So expectancies are perceived linkages between effort and improved performance. My expectancy is the more time I put in, the better I will be rewarded, because the more time I put in, the more performance I will have, therefore the better performance I will, better pay or rewards I will get. You expect if you study a lot, you will get rewarded with the higher score on the exam. Now, the relationship between improved performance and increased rewards. Now, it could be very detrimental to motivation if you start a new job and you work really hard and your performance has improved greatly, but your rewards has not. As a matter of fact, you're getting rewarded the same way you were this year as you were 2 years ago. And your performance is 100% better. But the reward structure has stayed the same. Also, we have the perceived value of rewards. Some people value different types of rewards. Some rewards are, money related. Some are not money related. Some are recognition or promotion or perks. Some people just want money. Some people, the reward might be all expense paid vacation. Well, a lot of people might not want the vacation. They might want the cash. So expectancies, let's go into these in a little bit more detail. Here's the key. The link between effort and performance is what expectancy is. How accurate is this expectancy? You learn over time. And this magnitude of expectancy, the perception of the ability to control the required performance. In short, there can't be a disconnect between, that relationship that you have between performance and reward. Because if you have an expectation based on history and then you're not rewarded that way, then that's highly demotivating. So we go back to instrumentalities. So this is linking performance and rewards. And also your guess or your feeling that an improvement in performance will lead to a specific type of reward. And again, we have the accuracy of this and the magnitude of instrumentalities. Some factors influencing the motivating process. Just so you know, salespeople love these kinds of diagrams, or sales researchers love these kinds of diagrams. I've driven them myself. Mine usually don't have this many arrows, but man, is this a pretty picture. Or not so pretty picture. So we have motivation, and we're starting over here, level of effort expended, job, task, or activity, the level of performance on the dimension. We have all kinds of moderators here. Again, we have expectancy, valence for performance, and instrumentality. And all this goes back into motivation. We can't forget role perceptions and all those personality and organizational variables, OCB type constructs. Valence for rewards, finally. The perception of the desirability of increasing rewards through improved performance, or which reward it will be. Satisfaction with current rewards depend upon how much we value, how much weight we put on which award. That's what a valence is. Okay? Can the motivation model predict performance? Yeah. We see that motivation is strongly linked to performance expectations and performance reviews and performance measurements. Research supports the validity of the expectations model, like the two exhibits that I just showed you. Now, just so you know, studies rarely test that whole model at once. They tend to test elements of it, and that model is actually components of many different models. Sales managers need to know how the determinants of motivation are affected by differences in personality characteristics, environmental conditions, mainly, think about what's happening inside the firm versus their industry versus what's happening in the overall economy, and how this also relates to policies, procedures, and stuff within the corporation. So the impact of a salesperson's personal characteristics on motivation. So if we think about personal characteristics, some people might be more grateful and they might be more satisfied with current reward structures. Some people might have a personality thing that they always want something new and it's never enough. Demographics, young versus older salespeople that have family. Maybe the young people would be more willing to move and get a faster track up the food chain as opposed to an older salesperson who would be less likely to move because their kids are in elementary, middle, or high school. How much job experience you have. Are you a rookie versus a veteran? And then we have our personality traits and how we attribute these all to our performance. Attribution means to attribute. Finally, we have satisfaction. I said in Chapter 6 that this is going to be part of my super topic talk. Workers are dissatisfied with rewards, value, lower order rewards. They could be. Higher order rewards are more highly sought after, but they're harder to achieve. We have satisfaction with income. So here's some of those demographic things that I just hit on in the earlier slide. Same thing with job experience. We have a clear, experience tends to affect performance, where people with more experience tend to perform more. That's why they're still in the job. You know, some of our psychological traits that affect motivation, the achievement, high achievement, need for achievement. Internal locus of control which means you are in control of everything that's happened. It's like, I am in control, I will take care of this. As opposed to an external locus of control where it's fate, luck, happenstance. We have our verbal and nonverbal intelligence, how strong your skills are in these areas. Your general self-esteem, and also more task-specific self-esteem, such as meeting new people. So if we're looking for some of our performance attributions, oh, that's not good. Let me see where we're at again. And making sure we're still good. We're good. Sorry about that. Some attributions. We're looking for stable internal factors, such as people are unlikely to change much in the near future, such as a personality, skill, and abilities. So we have ay, la vida. All right, let me say this another way. Think about stable and unstable internal factors, stable and unstable external factors. You know, an internal factor is something such as personality skills. Hopefully this stays stable over time. Ability says stable over time. Unstable is something that's more the amount of effort expended or someone's mood or attitude at any given time. External factor, stable. Hopefully the competitive situation in a particular territory is stable over time. External, sometimes you might get a boost from a lot of advertising or a lot of leads come in, or just pure good luck, or a salesperson from a competitor leaves, which gives you more opportunity to sell within your territory. That would be an external unstable factor. So if we think about this from a managerial perspective, that there is this relationship between personal characteristics and motivation. And broadly speaking, we have to understand how certain personality characteristics are going to fit within their job and within the company's culture and policies. We have to think that some characteristics are related to certain kinds of rewards that people are likely to value. You need to have a menu of rewards, basically. Related to that, this is what I said in the previous video, where if we take about a 5-year window, usually takes a salesperson 6 to 12 months to get ramped up. This is this exploration stage, right? Where then the 18 to 3-year to 3.5-year window is more like this establishment stage, where they're really doing well. Now then there's maintenance, make sure that we have our skills, we have our knowledge, we keep, feeding the salesperson, training here and there. It's possible that we get disengagement. Now, if we look at it from this scenario, a lot of salespeople have this sweet spot between 18 months of work and 3 to 4 years where something needs to happen. Yes, there should be maintenance during that time. But if it's the same old, salespeople like novelty. They really like to do. That's where disengagement comes in. A lot of times they get promoted. During the exploration stage in that 6 to 12 months range, if you have a salesperson that's not really doing well, they self-select themselves out. They drop out. But it's that 18 to 36 to 48 month window is this establishment stage. This plateaued salesperson is a problem. They are disengaged. Maybe they don't. they're stuck. They don't have a career path. The novelty is gone. They're bored. Maybe they do not listen to coaching well. Hopefully your firm has clearly defined career paths. Hopefully there is movement. Hopefully there are promotions within. Hopefully there is some new job environment or situations that will reduce the boredom and more novelty is introduced. So these plateaued salespeople, they can't just be complaining. Make sure that they account for their time, that their compensation is related to their effort and management. Get them out in the field, get them selling more, get them in a positive environment with other people. Maybe that they have to be a coach or a mentor, some training involved. Hiring the right people, then you have less of this because some people are just self-motivated all the time, and there's less issue with plateauing. You might have a dip, you might have a little bit of boredom here and there, but you won't have a complete tailing off of someone. And then we have our training objectives, and you make sure that everyone has a goal and everyone has a clear purpose. Some of these I already just blurted out. Talking to the salesperson, having a nice open two-way dialogue, figuring out some reasons, some solutions, you're doing some training, some coaching. You could cut their responsibilities. You could give them something new and novel, a new territory. Or you provide them a window to recharge their batteries and make sure that they come back fresh. Now, just like what we said with personality variables, I wanted to leave this slide up there, it isn't always money and bonus that motivates people. Maybe that could be more for the younger salesperson and less for the older salesperson, depending on career, family, demographic stage. But you have to understand there has to be a menu of things to motivate individuals. It can't be just money. I think we're okay there. So real quick, some supervisory available variables and things supervisors and sales managers have to think about. Without question, you have to have your finger on the pulse of what's going on out in the field. You need to have this dialogue, and if they're out there with their iPads uploading all this information, you better be monitoring the information. Some people prefer being, relatively free of direct supervision, but there still needs to be monitoring. Here's the span of control again. An increased span of control results in decreased supervision. If you have more control, you're out on the field, then you need less supervision because you can decide things on your own. Then, of course, how often you communicate with that two-way dialogue. And finally, we talk about some incentive and compensation policies. Firms might have very strict way out of HR to determine how rewards are attained. You have to decide, is there preferential treatment for stars? If there is, how does that impact your other salespeople? Could that really reduce their morale because they're not a star, or they're not in a territory that is like New York City that's huge, or they do not have a product line that's just gangbusters at the moment. They have an older product line that's just selling okay. This is that range again, or I keep saying a menu of rewards that will, depending on the situation, the person, they will be motivated to work towards. Then finally we have the earnings opportunity ratio, where the total compensation is a function of the highest paid salesperson compared to that of an average salesperson. So this is like, how much does the CEO get paid and how much does the average manager get paid? And, the higher the ratio, the higher valence we have, You have to worry about that sometimes. Okay? I thank you for your time here. It's Chapter 7. I look forward to seeing your questions for this chapter.